Welcome to Growing Pains, a podcast of the Sumner County Republican Freedom Caucus, where we explore the challenges of a thriving Sumner County. I'm your host, Deanne DeWitt. We can all agree that public safety is non-negotiable. And so I am thrilled to have our guest today be the head of our amazing Sumner County Sheriff's Department, Sheriff Eric Craddock.
Thanks for having me.
Well, you are, let's see, how long has it been that you've been wearing the badge? You've been wearing a badge for a long time, but how long have you been sheriff now?
Since the same election as President Trump is when I was officially elected. I was appointed a few months prior
but then
Sheriff Weatherford passed.
Right. So why don't we start with that? Because you have been serving in various capacities from a young age. So tell us about you. Tell us about your experience.
So I guess born and raised here in Sumner County, graduated from Hendersonville High School. While I was there, I was in the Marine Corps ROTC program. Fell in love with the military aspect of things. My grandfather is my hero, and he was in the Navy. And so immediately after high school, I joined the Navy. Still in. It's been a little over 18 years now. They're serving in various capacities. I'm in the reserves currently. Came back from a deployment in 2008. Got hired on at the sheriff's office by the late Sheriff Bob Barker in February of 2009, and I've been there ever since. It's really been an honor and a blessing. I genuinely love what I do. It's been awesome.
Clearly a calling for you. And I know that I first knew of you because of the late Sonny Weatherford, Sheriff Weatherford, and he had an incredible admiration and respect for you and your abilities, and was very invested in seeing you continue his legacy. And so that's where we are today. So let's talk about Sumner County. It is serving in Sumner County has its challenges. And so as you think about what it means to be leading this part of our community, how does that fit for Sumner County?
It's an awesome responsibility when you sit back and think about it, right? I think everyone agrees that a safe community is paramount. It's the foundation for everything else. I've heard the county mayor say you have to have good schools and you have to have a safe community, or else no one wants to be here. Right. I was sitting in a meeting this morning with a major out of a police department just north of Atlanta, and he said the exact same thing. They split off from Atlanta years ago because of the policies and the way they didn't proactively patrol and do things to make sure it was a safe county or a safe city. And so now they have a new city just north of Atlanta. And I think it's intuitive to most of us that we want a safe place to live, work, and play. I certainly want a safe county. My kids are growing up here. I've had the privilege I've been all over the world, Africa, the Middle East, Japan. I've been all over the world. This is where I'll be. I love Sumner County. I love it here. I just want to see it be better.
Well, there's no doubt that as you stepped into this role where we're in a period of rapid change, a lot of population growth, a lot of social media scrutiny. There's a whole escalation of a lot of things. So in contrast, all those things that are kind of changing, what are some of the guiding principles that keep you grounded in this role?
I think the biggest grounding principle I have is to just be connected with the line workers, the deputies and the corrections officers that are out there every day meeting the statutory obligations for the office of sheriff, right? There's no debate that the role of sheriff is more of a CEO role. That's what I'm adapting to. I love law enforcement. I love police work. I love being out talking to people. And so managing from behind the desk is something I'm definitely learning and I'm equipped to do. All of the paperwork is easy, but to stay grounded, be with the guys who are doing the job every day, make sure you see what they see and what they need to do the job, equipping them and training them and supporting them while they're out serving the citizens of Sumner County is paramount. I think my number one responsibility is to take care of the people who go out and take care of the people of Sumner County.
Yeah. Well, I know not too long ago, I had some evening plans that you were going to be there and you didn't because there was something kind of dangerous going on. And so you fall back into that role pretty easily.
I love it.
Yeah,
I do. Anytime I can get out and be next to the guys, whether I'm just passing them a Gatorade to make sure that they have their thirst quenched while they're working a crime scene, or if we're dealing with a violent or potentially violent situation, or just helping citizens. Any aspect of law enforcement, I love. I love it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, because that's the kind of servant heart that really does make a difference in leadership, and so that does shine through, I think, in all you do, whether it's from behind the desk and creating a vision for the future or supporting your team. So I know that you have emphasized a lot about community policing, transparency. What are you hearing from the public?
I think a lot of what I hear are concerns about traffic. I mean, we're talking about a thriving Sumner County. Traffic has increased exponentially over the past decade, and it's only going to do more. We hear a lot from citizens about traffic complaints in residential neighborhoods. We hear a lot from citizens about drug crimes. Almost every crime that we deal with has some sort of nexus back to illegal narcotics, whether it's their use or their sale or people trying to get money to get drugs, so we've really made a pretty big effort to do extra patrols, extra traffic enforcement when citizens request it. Who knows better when they need traffic enforcement in their neighborhood than they do, right? And then we
Right.
are out proactively seeking out, detecting, and arresting violators of the law.
Yeah, I've heard it said that those who are in the business of doing crime don't like when they realize they've crossed over county lines.
One of my favorite stories, I was at a SWAT team tryout, and there was a Gouldsville officer trying out. And at the end of the day, we do this talk and kind of get to know him, and he's telling a story about how it's different in Davidson County and Sumner County, right? He arrested a guy one day after a vehicle pursuit, and the guy eventually says, "Am I in Nashville?" And he said, "Oh, no, you're in Sumner County." And the guy just drops his head. Well, that's exactly what I want.
Yeah.
Don't come to Sumner County and commit crimes. We want a safe community. We want a community where our kids can do whatever they want. We want a community where the parents can take their kids to the park. We don't want crime.
Right.
And so if you come here, expect us to be actively seeking you out.
Yeah. Well, and so talk a little bit about trust and how you see, and maybe you've seen it evolve in your time. The community depends on you being tough on crime, but how do you see that trust, that relationship?
Well, I think first you have to be open, right? Citizens have to be able to call you. They have to be able to see you and ask you questions. You have to be available. The very first thing in their mind when they think of their sheriff, they need to picture someone that they can trust. And you can't do that unless you're open with the communication. I can't promise to always give them an answer they're going to want to hear, but I can promise to give them the truth.
Yeah. You also give some humor. I think your Facebook page is followed for some of the cleverness that's coming
Yes.
out of that. Who do you attribute that to? Is that you?
No, I wish it was me. I wish I could take credit for that. No, I'm telling you, and I say this all the time, we have the absolute best people at the Sumner County Sheriff's Office. We do. They're incredible. You mentioned the Facebook page. I'll be at Food Line on a Sunday just trying to grab some onions real quick for dinner, and people will stop me and say, "Hey, you guys didn't post on Wednesday. What's going on?" People love it. And that's the kind of engagement we need. I think that we have seen the tips on our website go up. We have seen the community get more involved and engaged as a result of our outreach on social media. It really is a cost-effective way to engage with the community. They can send us messages. Now, we don't monitor the Facebook page 24 hours a day, but we do have an automatic message that tells them how to get in contact with somebody if they need somebody in an emergency. But yeah, any way that we can engage with the community at a low cost for the taxpayer is a win for us.
Well, and I started with mentioning trust and building relationships. This feels like a pretty natural segue to talk about your school resource officers and the kind of relationships that they develop. Let's just talk, because there's some great accolades that represent the work they're doing, and talk about that and the relationships.
Yeah, so I think it was 2 years ago now, NASRO, the National Association for School Resource Officers, recognized our program here in Sumner County as the model agency for the nation.
For the nation.
For the nation.
Let's just pause and say that one more time.
Yeah.
Sumner County SRO program is model for the nation.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I think Rutherford County got it back about a decade ago. We've really leaned on them and learned from some of their mistakes and what they do well. SROs across the state are incredible people. They're in our schools every day with our kids. They are the first line of defense. They're the first ones that are going to hear something. They're the first ones that can develop a relationship with a kid so that when they grow up, they know that a guy in uniform is more than a policeman. They're a human being, right?
Yeah.
They can run to them for help. I spoke at George Witten's career day 2 weeks ago, I think, and that was the very last thing I told him. If you're ever in trouble, you ever need help, look for a fireman, look for somebody driving an ambulance, and look for a policeman. We're here to help. A lot of times we get the rap that we're only here to arrest, and that's not true at all.
Yeah.
Now, that is a large part of our job. However, we're here to help every chance we can.
Yeah. And so what are some of your favorite stories of SROs in the schools and some of the relationships and the things they do?
Every year when they do Champ Camp, I make a point to go out and talk to the guys. It's one of the...
Tell us about Champ Camp first.
Champ Camp is a camp that our SRO officers do for kids in elementary and middle school. They bring them out for a week. They do everything from sober driving. They put them on a golf cart with the fatal vision goggles, which makes them feel like they're impaired. They drive. They do everything from playing dodgeball to educating them on how we work crime scenes. They really develop these relationships that I think our return on investment in 10 and 15 years is going to pay dividends, right? In 10 and 15 years, when those guys are adults, they're going to know that their sheriff's office is here to support them, not just do all the rough things, right?
Right.
Unfortunately, law enforcement, we do have to do the rough things.
Right.
We do. We have to insert ourselves in crisis situations, and we have to provide solutions that sometimes people aren't happy with. But those relationships that we're building today are going to pay dividends in Sumner County in the next decade.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I see different things that have been either shared or posted or just stories told about, day in and day out in the school campuses. The things that they do are so far beyond what you picture a police officer or sheriff.
Absolutely. We have
deputy.
two, as you well know, we also run the animal services for Sumner County. We have 2 dogs that we put in the schools 2 years ago that came from our animal services puppies. We got them obedience trained and then eventually therapy dog trained. And so Stella and Charlie are incredible. We can take them to a school where, whether they've had a death in the school and the kids are grieving and the dog's just there to cheer them up, or there's an incident where a kid doesn't really know how to talk to the adults in the room, the dog's there to comfort them. The therapy dog has been huge. Matter of fact, my daughter went to one of the schools last year, and if Stella wasn't in school, she wanted to know why. All the kids wanted to know why. We're doing everything we can to bridge gaps. We're doing everything we can to reach the kids before they become adults.
Yeah. Well, you're doing that for sure, and we are. Was there any other feedback that came from that award, as recognizing Sumner County as the model? Were there things that we really need to brag on that we're doing differently or better here than others?
I really would be remiss if I did not again commend the people that are doing it. Lieutenant Vines, the SRO supervisor, Sergeant Stith, Sergeant Rager, the SROs that are in the school every day. These guys really have a heart for these kids. I know some of them that went in with one expectation, and then you talk to them 6 months later and like, what an awesome thing I'm doing. Yeah. They really get that sense of gratitude at the end of the day. I love to pull up and see them out front when the car rider lines, and all the kids are high-fiving and hugging. And it's a really good community program. I just can't imagine where we would be without them.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's a good segue to talk about just your staff. Beyond that, a lot of departments struggle to recruit and retain. So talk a little bit about the culture that you've created and why that's so special.
Yeah, I think recruitment is a huge issue nationwide for law enforcement. The guy that I was talking to this morning from north of Atlanta, same thing. He hasn't been at full staffing since 2020. We're rapidly approaching full staffing. And that's something I'm really proud of. I think that the biggest thing there is to let the officers know that their leadership has their back. They are asked to make decisions in a split second that are going to be argued in court for months and months and months. They have an awesome responsibility. Are they always going to get it right? No, they're not. They're humans. But their success rate is probably better than any doctor, judge. They're just incredible.
They see it as a calling, not just a job.
That's right.
Right?
They do.
Is that
and I'm going to support them everywhere I can, whether that's getting them the equipment that they need to do their job, whether that's trying to be invested in their family life, knowing what's going on with them, knowing if they're dealing with some family strife. And hey, you need somebody to come cover a shift, I'm happy to do it. Yeah. Matter of fact, I love to do it.
Back to your earlier point. Yes.
But I think recruitment we've heard as a buzzword for the past 4 or 5 years. To me, there's 2 different aspects. It's recruitment and then it's retention. And retention is so much more important than recruitment to me. If a guy quits today and I have to hire a new officer, it's about 10 months before he's actually filling the role. He's the solo guy in the car responding to calls for service. But what you lose is all the institutional knowledge that guy had. how our court system works, how our jail works. Our sheriff's office has 9 different divisions. And so if we bring somebody from a municipal police department that doesn't have a jail or a warrants division or a court security division or an SRO division, they have to learn all of those things. And so retaining those good, qualified, competent employees on the front end is so much cheaper and so much more efficient than recruiting new ones.
And creating a culture where people feel supported and appreciated is the magic to that.
I believe so. All the feedback that I hear every time we do an interview and there's someone coming from another agency, we ask that question. What makes you want to come here? Well, I've heard good things.
Yeah.
Your people are happy. I can't promise to pay them the most, but I can promise to treat them like humans and adults.
Can't promise to pay them the most. I do think that's maybe we'll come back to that question. So let's shift gears and talk a little bit about technology. Mm-hmm. Body cams are kind of the norm now. But I've heard you talk about some technology enhancements that you're looking at. So talk about that, and then just talk about how, technology is an aid, but you still have to rely on the human touch and the human interaction.
100%. Technology does make us more efficient, and technology allows us to do our job a little bit more efficiently and faster. However, you can't take the human out of it. Law enforcement is never going to be run by robots or artificial intelligence. There are just certain cases that you have to use discretion on. Yes, this is what that says. However, what was the intent? What was the motivation behind here? Getting to probable cause or reasonable suspicion or proof beyond a reasonable doubt, which are all legal standards, you can't do with AI. You just can't. The human touch will never go away. We have body cams right now for all of our patrol division. Our in-car cameras are a separate vendor than our body cameras. And so next year in the budget cycle, one of my hopes is to get funding for a complete suite package. It makes everybody more efficient if they can worry about turning on one set of cameras versus 2. And then it makes the DA's office more efficient, makes us more efficient in court if we're all running one platform, right?
Right.
And so that is a cost, but it's a necessary cost. We have to have them. I know 10 years ago when you started talking body cams, people got nervous. What's going on? Our guys love them. Yeah. They make the court adjudication process more efficient. They clear complaints. We're able to. Body cams are just huge. There's other technology out there. We've expanded our license plate reader footprint this year. And I know that there are some concerns for privacy on license plate readers. I'll tell a quick story if we have time.
Yeah.
We had LPRs at an intersection when they first got installed. I don't know how long they've been up, maybe a couple months. We had a crash on Highway 25 where a vehicle was turned over into a pond and an infant died. Within about 2 hours of that initial call, based on a vehicle description, we had the suspect in front of us being interviewed. Now, the vehicle description was a silver sedan with a broken passenger side mirror. Had we had to run that down the old way, it would have been months. But due to the LPR, we were on scene that night interviewing the driver of the other car. And eventually that led to a successful prosecution. These tools they're just that. They're tools to make Sumner County safe.
Yeah. Well, and continuing to explore those options and keep those things in front of us and bring those proposals to the commission for approval. That's an important part of your job. So keep it up because they invaluable.
I agree.
All right, let's talk a little bit about some of the cooperative agreements. There's a lot of partnerships. You know, we've talked about the SROs, and obviously that's one of your many departments. But with neighboring operations, whether it's other police departments or even in-state and out-of-state, I know there's times that we are call upon others for help and deliver it. So how do those relationships evolve?
Yeah, well, I think it starts with communication, right? We're in constant communication with the other municipal police chiefs here in Sumner County. We have a meeting once a month where we all talk along with the district attorney general. We share intel on crime statistics, what we're all facing, what issues we're seeing, what we can do. Maybe someone's got a creative solution that I haven't thought of that we can implement at the sheriff's office. Keeping Sumner County law enforcement on the same page has been really easy because all of the police departments in Sumner County want to do what's right. We all have a heart to have a safe community here. We also coordinate across the state, whether it's the Highway Patrol or Drug Task Forces or the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, Tennessee Homeland Security. I was texting with our agent this morning. We do everything we can to make sure all of Tennessee is safe and assisted if needed. I know of a call within the past few years where we called resources from across the state, and there was never a why or how long or what's this going to cost us. It was what time you need us there. And we do the same thing. Let me back up here, and I would be chastised, rightfully so, if I didn't mention our Sumner County Emergency Management Agency. They help law enforcement in Sumner County. They are absolutely, they're gold. They are the best. They don't get the credit that they deserve. And they would never sit here in front of you and tell you what they did.
Well, I'm going to make sure we're talking about Ken Widener,
Yes.
Mickey Summers,
Yes.
that team. They have know-how, they have resources, they have just a vantage point
Yes.
that really brings things together. And honestly, it sounds like every county should operate this way, but it isn't easy to create that very collaborative environment. And so that's, I think that is a testament to the Sumner County way.
I wholeheartedly agree. I think we all say it, if we're in a command post and we're helping someone, that's, hey, check your ego at the door. It doesn't matter who's in charge here.
Yeah.
We know the objective. Let's get to it. We can talk about who's in charge later.
So you had mentioned something earlier, and I want to kind of circle back to it. I just said it, the Sumner County way. There are servants working in Sumner County, different capacities, whether it's our schools or our government, and certainly at the Sheriff's Department. Pay is a challenge. So what is your vision for the future, and what do we do to compensate for where we can't maybe pay the most of any surrounding municipality all the time?
Yeah, I think number one, it starts with building that culture where people want to come to work. They feel valued. They feel like they're making a difference in their community. Second is fighting for compensation for them come budget season. And I think that's one of the biggest parts of taking care of the people who go out and take care of the people. I guess society's standards for law enforcement have increased over the past decade, and they're going to increase for the next decade, rightfully so. I have extremely high standards for what an employee at the Sumner County Sheriff's Office should do and how they should perform and how they should treat the public. The only way to uphold those standards is to compensate and equip them in a manner commensurate with those societal expectations and my standards. And so I will continue to go to the county commission and support my guys and make sure that the sheriff's office is moving in a direction that is aligned with my vision and how I think Sumner County should be kept safe.
And fills those openings. You said that earlier too, and I know that from my days of scouring the budget and knowing all the ins and outs of these departments, that it's always been a struggle to fill all the open positions, and that really is a big part of it. So we can only expect better when we are fully funded and fully staffed. All right, well, let's kind of wrap it up. You've spent decades in uniform. Can you share any moments that really reinforce this as your calling, and what you hope, maybe if you can be so bold as to say what you hope your legacy as sheriff will be?
I can think of cases throughout my career at the sheriff's office where I just went home and felt like I did something good for the community. A lot of them really impact you,
Yeah.
I can recall going home one day and hugging my kids. I'd worked a pretty significant crime with a child around the same age as my stepson. And that hits home. And so when you are able to bring closure to that case and that guy's not going to go out and victimize another kid, it makes you feel like you've made an impact in Sumner County. Anytime you can help a kid, honestly, it makes me feel like I've accomplished what I was sent here to do. As far as legacy, I don't think a lot about my legacy. I don't. I think
It is you are kind of young to be talking legacy, and you are new in this.
If I had to say something, it would be that I would be remembered as a man that my wife's proud of, that my kids are proud of, somebody that made Sumner County safer, empowered those around me to do their job, increased professionalism in law enforcement as a career. Those would all be important things, but number one would be my wife and kids being proud.
Well, that's a great point to end. You are just a dedicated and highly, highly respected servant of this community. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful to call you a friend, and I know there's a lot in store for this community thanks to your leadership. So
Thank you very
thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.